Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harvey. Let me tell you something I've learned the hard way, through life, through mistakes, through victories, and through setbacks. Everybody doesn't need to know everything about you. In fact, one of the biggest reasons people lose peace, momentum, and confidence is because they talk too much to the wrong people. Privacy is power. Silence is strength. And wisdom is knowing what to keep to yourself. First thing you should never share with just anybody is your next move. Everybody loves to hear about your plans, but not everybody wants to see you win. Some people smile in your face and secretly hope you never make it past where you are. When you announce your plans too early, you invite opinions, doubts, negativity, and even sabotage. Let results make the noise. When you finally show up with success, no explanation will be needed. Second, never share your weaknesses with people who haven't earned your trust. Being vulnerable is powerful, but only in the right environment. The wrong people will store your pain, your fears, and your insecurities as ammunition. They won't help you heal. They'll use it to feel superior. Protect your soft spots. Share your struggles only with those who have proven they want to help you rise, not watch you fall. Third thing you should keep private is your income and financial situation. Money changes how people treat you. If they think you have less, they may look down on you. If they think you have more, they may expect favors, loans, or feel entitled to what you've worked for. Your finances are your business. Peace comes when you stop explaining your lifestyle and start living it on your own terms. Fourth, stop telling everybody about your relationship problems. Every couple has issues. Every marriage has disagreements. But when you constantly expose your partner's flaws to outsiders, you poison the relationship. People will judge, take sides, and remind you of mistakes long after you've forgiven them. Handle your relationship in private. Protect what you love. Not everybody needs a front row seat to your personal life. Fifth thing you should never share is your past mistakes with people who only see you for who you used to be. Growth scares some people. When you tell them your old story, they'll keep reading from the same page, even though you've turned the chapter. Some folks don't want to see you evolve because your growth reminds them of their comfort zone. Let your transformation speak louder than your past confession. Let me talk to you about something that can change the entire direction of your life if you learn to master it early. Never tell everybody your next move. I know it feels good to talk about your plans. I know it feels exciting to tell people what you're about to do, where you're headed, and how big you're about to become. But here's the truth most people learn too late. Your plans are fragile before they're finished. They need protection, not promotion. See, when you tell people your next move, you open the door to opinions you never asked for. Somebody will tell you it won't work. Somebody will remind you of the last time you failed. Somebody will say, "You sure you can do that?" And now, without realizing it, doubt has entered your mind. You were confident when it was just you and God. You were focused when the vision was clear. And now you're explaining, defending, and second, guessing something that was never meant to be debated. Everybody claps when you talk about success, but not everybody is clapping for you. Some people clap because they're happy. Some people clap because they're counting how far they think you'll fall. There are people who don't want to see you do better than them, especially if they've known you for a long time. They're comfortable with the version of you that stayed the same. When you announce your next move, you remind them that you're willing to change, and that makes them uncomfortable. Let me tell you something real. When you talk too much about what you're going to do, you start feeling accomplished before you've done anything. Your brain gets a reward just from talking. You feel productive without producing, and that's dangerous. Because now the hunger is gone, the urgency is gone, and the discipline starts slipping. Silence keeps you hungry. Silence keeps you looking. Silence keeps you locked in. Some of the most successful people you admire didn't announce their plans. They disappeared. They worked quietly. They studied when nobody was watching. They failed privately. They fixed mistakes without an audience. Then one day they showed up different. And people said, "Where did that come from?" It came from silence. It came from focus. It came from protecting the vision until it was strong enough to stand on its own. When you tell the wrong people your next move, you also give them the chance to interfere. Not always on purpose. Sometimes through negativity. Sometimes through distraction. Sometimes through advice that sounds good, but doesn't fit your calling. Everybody gives advice based on their own limits. If they couldn't do it, they'll tell you it can't be done. If they were scared, they'll call it unrealistic. You can't let small thinking shape a big future. There's also another level to this. Some people don't just doubt you, they compete with you. The moment you reveal your plan, you give away information. Now somebody else is trying to do it faster, louder, or in a way that throws you off your path. Not because they're better, but because you spoke too soon. Privacy keeps your strategy intact. I've learned that the best response to questions about your future is sometimes a smile. You don't owe everyone an explanation. You don't owe everyone access. Just because someone asks, "What you working on?" doesn't mean they deserve the full story. You can say, "I'm figuring some things out," and keep it moving. That's not secrecy, that's wisdom. Your next move should be revealed by results, not conversations. Let people hear about it after it's done. Let them see the evidence instead of hearing the idea. Because when it's finished, nobody can talk you out of it. Nobody can discourage you from it. Nobody can steal your excitement or drain your energy. When you move in silence, you build confidence from progress, not approval. You stop looking for validation and start trusting the process. You learn to listen more than you speak. You become strategic. You become patient. And patience is a weapon most people don't know how to use. So keep your next move between you and the work. Wake up quietly. Improve quietly. And when it's time to step out fully formed. Not half-bitten. Not explained. Just ready. Let me talk to you about something people misunderstand all the time, and that is sharing your weaknesses with everybody. In today's world, folks love to say, be open, be vulnerable, tell a story. And that sounds good, but the truth is this vulnerability without wisdom will cost you. Not everybody deserves to know where you're hurting. And not everybody needs access to your fears, your insecurities, and your struggles. See, your weaknesses are like an open wound. You don't show an open wound to people who don't know how to heal it. You protect it. You cover it. You let it recover in the right environment. But when you tell your pain to the wrong people, they don't help you heal. They study it. They remember it. And one day, when you least expect it, they use it against you. Some people listen to your struggles not to understand you, but to compare themselves to you. They feel better knowing you're hurting. Others store your weaknesses as gossip, spreading your business in places you've never been. And some people, the worst kind, will throw your past pain back in your face during arguments just to feel powerful. That's why you gotta be careful who you open up to. Now don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you should never talk about your struggles. I'm saying you should be selective. There's a difference between being open and being exposed. Being open is sharing with someone who wants to see you win. Being exposed is handing your soft spots to people who haven't earned your trust. Trust is built over time, not assumed because somebody sounds nice. Let me tell you something real. When you constantly talk about what you're bad at, what you're afraid of, and what you can't do, you start reinforcing that story in your own mind. Your words shape your self-image. The more you repeat your weaknesses, the more permanent they start to feel. Silence gives you room to work on yourself without labeling yourself. Some people will tell you, I'm just being honest about who I am. That's fine, but don't confuse honesty with self-sabotage. You can acknowledge your flaws privately while still presenting strength publicly. You don't need to advertise everything you're working through. Growth is a process, not a press release. There's also something else you need to understand. The world doesn't reward weakness, it rewards growth. People respect progress, not excuses. When you lead with your limitations, people begin to see you through that lens. They stop expecting more from you. And once expectations drop, opportunities disappear. Protect your potential by not letting people define you by a moment of struggle. I've seen people lose jobs, relationships, and respect because they shared too much with the wrong audience. They thought they were building connection, but instead they were building doubt. The wrong person will smile and say, "I understand," and then quietly decide you're not ready, not strong, not capable. And you'll never even know why the door closed. Your weaknesses should be discussed in safe spaces, with mentors, with counselors, with people who are already overcome what you're going through. People who give you tools, not judgment. People who pray with you, not talk about you. That circle should be small. Here's another thing. When you stop broadcasting your struggles, you give yourself permission to outgrow them. You stop being tied to an old version of yourself that people keep reminding you of. You create space to evolve quietly. And one day when you show up stronger, people will be surprised, not because you changed, but because they weren't invited into the process. Let me tell you this, strength doesn't mean you never struggle. Strength means you choose wisely who gets to see you struggle. You don't owe everyone your pain story. You don't owe everyone an explanation for your healing journey. Some chapters are meant to be written in private. So guard your weaknesses like you guard your dreams. Share them only with people who have proven they can handle them with care. Because when you protect your vulnerabilities, you protect your future. Let me talk to you about something that causes more unnecessary stress, jealousy, and confusion than almost anything else. Telling people your financial situation, how much money you make, how much you have saved, how much debt you're in, or how much you plan to earn next year is nobody's business. The moment you make your money public, your peace becomes public too, and that's when problems start. See, money changes how people look at you. If they think you don't have enough, some will pity you, judge you, or talk down to you. If they think you have a lot, suddenly everybody has a need, a story, an emergency, or a favor. Either way, once people know your finances, they start forming opinions about your value, your intelligence, and your lifestyle, and none of that helps you. Some people will say, "I'm just being transparent." No, you're being exposed. Transparency with money is only necessary with people directly involved, your spouse, your business partner, your accountant. Everybody else does not need those details. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to explain why you can or can't afford something. "It's not in my budget" is a complete sentence. Let me tell you what really happens when people know your financial position. If you're doing well, they expect you to carry them. They expect you to pay more, give more, loan more. And when you say no, you become the bad guy. Now you're changed, selfish, or forgot where you came from. But the truth is, you didn't change. You just stopped letting people count your pockets. And if you're struggling financially, oversharing can be just as damaging. People start giving advice you didn't ask for. They start judging your decisions without knowing the full story. Some will even lose respect for you, not because you're incapable, but because they've never been where you are. Struggle seasons are temporary, but public judgment can last a long time. Here's another truth. When you talk too much about money, you attract comparison. People begin measuring their lives against yours, and comparison breeds jealousy. Jealousy ruins relationships. Folks start acting funny, energy changes, conversations feel different. All because information was shared that didn't need to be shared. Peace is expensive, and privacy is part of the price. I've learned that rich people talk about money the way broke people do. They talk about systems. They talk about discipline. They talk about mindset. They let the lifestyle speak quietly. Loud money is often insecure money. Real wealth moves silently because it understands that attention brings problems. Also understand this, when people know how much you make, they start telling you how you should live. Why you drive that car. Why you wear those clothes. Why you didn't upgrade this or downgrade that. You lose the freedom to make personal choices without commentary. And freedom is one of the main reasons people chase success in the first place. Money is emotional. It's tied to pride, fear, survival, and identity. That's why it should be handled carefully. Not everybody can separate your finances from their feelings. Some people will resent you, some will depend on you. Some will try to compete with you. None of that adds value to your life. Let me say this clearly. You don't owe anyone financial access to you just because they're family, friends, or familiar. Being close to you does not entitle someone to your bank balance. You can love people and still say no. You can care and still protect yourself. Boundaries around money are not cold, they're necessary. When you stop talking about money, you start making better decisions. You stop performing. You stop trying to look successful. You start focusing on stability, growth, and long-term vision. You stop explaining your why and start honoring it. Your financial journey is personal. It's unique. It's shaped by your background, your responsibilities, and your goals. Let it unfold quietly. Let your discipline show over time. Let your consistency speak. And remember this, peace is worth more than proving anything to anybody. Let me talk to you about something that destroys more relationships than cheating, money, or distance combined. And that is telling everybody your relationship problems. See, every relationship has issues. Every marriage has disagreements. Every couple's moments they're not proud of. That's normal. What's not normal is inviting outsiders into problems that were meant to be handled between two people. When you tell friends, co-workers, family, or social media about your relationship struggles, you are not looking for solutions, you are looking for relief. You want to feel heard. You want someone to agree with you. But temporary relief can cause permanent damage, because once you tell your side of the story, people form opinions, and those opinions don't disappear when you forgive your partner. Here's the problem you'll make up, but they won't. You'll move forward, but they'll stay stuck on what you told them. Every time your partner walks into the room, those people will remember the mistake, the argument, the weakness you shared. Now your relationship is fighting battles it never signed up for. You didn't just bring outsiders in, you gave them a vote. Another thing people don't realize is this. When you talk about your relationship problems, you're usually only telling your version. Not because you're lying, but because emotions shape memory. You leave out what you said. You leave out what you did. You leave out the tone, the timing, the pressure. And now people are judging a whole situation based on half the truth. That's not fair to your partner. And it's not healthy for the relationship. Some people you talk to don't want to help you fix it. They want to feel superior. They want to say, "Oh, I told you so." Others want to keep you dependent on their advice. And then there are those who secretly want your relationship to fail because misery loves company. Not everybody giving advice has good intentions. Let me tell you something else that's real. When you constantly speak negatively about your partner, you start training your mind to focus on what's wrong instead of what's right. Words are powerful. The more you complain, the heavier the relationship feels. You stop remembering why you chose them in the first place. You forget the love, the effort, the growth, because your mouth keeps replaying the problem. Privacy protects intimacy. When a relationship is exposed too much, it becomes fragile. There's a reason some couples last for decades. They keep their business in the house. They fight privately. They heal privately. They grow privately. And when they step outside, they present unity, not perfection unity. Now, I'm not saying stay silent in a toxic or dangerous situation. That's different. If there is abuse, manipulation, or real harm, you must speak up to the right people and get help. But everyday disagreements, misunderstandings, and emotional moments do not belong in group chats or family meetings. Those moments need patience, communication, and maturity, not an audience. Another mistake people make is run a family every time something goes wrong. Family loves you, but family is biased. They will always be on your side, even when you're wrong. And once they don't like your partner, that dislike doesn't fade easily. You might forgive, but family remembers. Now, holidays are awkward. Conversations are tense. And respect is gone, all because too much was shared. Your relationship is not a community project. Everybody doesn't get a say. Everybody doesn't get a role. 2 people can't build peace if 10 people are involved in the decision-making. When outsiders enter, confusion enters. When confusion enters, trust starts leaving. Strong relationships are not built by public validation. They're built by private conversations. Hard talks behind closed doors. Apologies that don't need witnesses. Growth that doesn't need applause. That's where real connection is formed. When you protect your relationship, you protect your future. You give it room to breathe, to heal, to evolve. You stop poisoning it with outside opinions and start strengthening it with understanding and respect. So be careful who you talk to about the person you love. Not everybody deserves to hear that story. Some things are sacred. Some things need protection. And a relationship that's handled with privacy has a much better chance of surviving the storms that every couple must face. Let me talk to you about your past mistakes and why everybody does not need to know them. See, everybody has a past. Everybody has done something they're not proud of. Everybody has made decisions that if given the chance, they would do differently. That's part of being human. But the problem comes when you keep reopening old chapters with people who are committed to seeing you as the person you used to be. Some people don't want to meet the new you. They're comfortable with the old version because it makes them feel better about staying the same. When you tell them about your past mistakes, they don't hear growth, they hear confirmation. Confirmation that you're still that person in their mind. No matter how much you've changed, they keep bringing you back to where you started. You have to understand this. Not everybody celebrates transformation. Your growth exposes their stagnation. Your discipline highlights their excuses. So when you openly share your past with the wrong people, you give them a story they'll never let go of. They'll remind you of it in jokes. They'll mention it accident. They use it to question your credibility, even when you've proven yourself. Another thing people don't realize is that your past mistakes can become a label if you keep repeating them. You might say, I'm just being honest about my journey, but if you're constantly telling the same old story, you're mentally living there. Your words anchor you a version of yourself you're supposed to have outgrown. Growth requires leaving some explanations behind. There are people who don't care how far you've come. They only care where you fell. They will always measure you by your lowest moment because it gives them power. And once someone has power over your narrative, they can control how others see you. That's dangerous. Your story is yours. Don't hand it over carelessly. Now, don't misunderstand me. There's a time and place to share your past. If your story can genuinely help someone who's struggling, if it can inspire, teach, or guide in the right environment, that's different. But oversharing your mistakes in casual conversations, social settings, or with people who haven't earned to trust only reopens wounds that were healing just fine. Some people collect information the way others collect trophies. They don't want to understand you. They want something to talk about. And once your past becomes entertainment, you lose control of it. You can't explain context to everyone. You can't correct every rumor. That's why prevention is better than damage control. Let me tell you something else that's real. People will forgive you faster than they will forget. And some won't forgive you at all. They'll say they did, but deep down they'll always hold it against you. That's why you have to let your actions speak louder than your confessions. Consistency over time is a stronger apology than any story. Your past prepared you, but it does not define you. You don't owe everyone proof of how you learned the lesson. You don't owe everyone the details of your mistakes. The only people who need to know your full story are the ones walking with you into your future. When you stop explaining your past, you start building your future. You stop defending who you were and start investing in who you're becoming. You give people a chance to meet you where you are, not where you've been. Some chapters are meant to stay closed, not because you're ashamed, but because they've done their job. They taught you. They shaped you. They strengthened you. And now it's time to move forward without dragging old baggage into new seasons. Let me talk to you about something most people overlook, and that is your personal goals, dreams, and inner visions. Everybody loves to talk about where they want to go in life. Everybody wants to share their dreams, their big ideas, and the future they see for themselves. But here's the truth, not everybody needs to know what you're praying for, planning for, or working toward deep inside. Your goals start as thoughts. Thoughts are fragile. They need belief, repetition, and action to grow. When you share them too early with the wrong people, those thoughts get attacked. Somebody laughs. Somebody doubts. Somebody tells you it's unrealistic. And even if they don't say it out loud, their energy speaks loud enough to make you question yourself. Now your dream has to fight battles it wasn't ready for. Some people don't see what you see because they don't have your vision. They judge your dreams based on their own limits, their own fears, and their own past failures. They're not trying to hurt you, but their reality becomes your resistance if you listen too closely. That's why big dreams need quiet beginnings. Let me tell you something real. When you talk too much about your goals, you create pressure instead of progress. Now people are watching. How's that going? Now you feel rushed. And instead of moving at the pace of growth, you start moving at the pace of expectation. That pressure can make you quit early just to escape the feeling of being judged. There's also another danger. When you announce your dreams publicly, you start seeking approval instead of alignment. You begin shaping your goals to sound good to others rather than to feel right to you. That's when you drift away from your purpose. Dreams that require validation usually lose direction. Some people will encourage you at first, but encouragement fades when results take time. And most real dreams take time. When the excitement dies down, you're left alone with the work. That's when doubt creeps in, because now you remember all the voices that questioned you. Silence would have protected you during that phase. I've learned that the strongest dreams are built in private. Early mornings, late nights, quiet sacrifices, no announcements, no applause, just discipline, just commitment, just faith. By the time people notice, the foundation is already solid. Another thing, when you keep your goals private, you stay flexible, you can adjust, you can pivot, you can change direction without explaining yourself. But when you've told everybody what you're going to do, you feel locked in. Pride keeps you stuck in plans that no longer fit you. Privacy gives you freedom. Not everyone who asks about your goals is rooting for you. Some are curious. Some are comparing. Some are hoping you fail so they can feel better about staying the same. You don't need that energy attached to your vision. Dreams grow better in environments that are calm and protected. This doesn't mean you never share your goals. It means you choose wisely. Share with mentors who've already walked the path. Share with people who give guidance, not opinions. Share with those who challenge you to work harder, not those who just clap and disappear. When you stop talking about your goals and start working on them, something powerful happens. Your confidence comes from action. Your belief gets stronger because it's backed by effort, and you become less affected by outside noise. So keep some things sacred. Let your dreams develop quietly. Let your goals mature before they meet the world. And when the time comes, let your results introduce your vision for you.